What if an actor's rebellion against Tinseltown's rules sparked a legend that still burns today? And what if a tough guy's real-life battles were darker than any blockbuster? Buckle up for a wild ride through the lives of Scott Rudin, George C. Scott, Lee Marvin, Val Kilmer, and Steven Seagal, icons whose glitz hides jaw-dropping truths. Born in 1958, he was running production at 20th Century Fox by 28, a prodigy who spent 15 years at Paramount building an empire. In 2008, his films No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood racked up 8 Oscar nods each, the former snagging Best Picture. But behind the trophies was a man who ruled with fear. Assistants popped ulcer meds like candy, some lost hair from stress, and one landed in the ER after Rudin smashed a computer monitor on his hand over a missed flight in 2012. Hollywood whispered about his rages. Walls punched, threats scrawled, but protected him, calling him dazzlingly charming, even as they dubbed him the most feared man in town. Then came April 2021, when the curtain ripped wide open. A Hollywood Reporter expose unleashed decades of horror stories, violence, intimidation, an office where fear was the air they breathed. The fallout hit like a tsunami. Broadway's Karen Olivo quit Moulin Rouge in protest, and Actors Equity demanded Rudin free ex-staff from NDAs. 3 days after a tepid apology, he stepped back from all projects: film, streaming, theater. From untouchable kingpin to industry pariah, Rudin's fall exposed Hollywood's dirty secret. Abuse wasn't just tolerated, it was the cost of genius. Today, his empire's in ruins, but whispers linger. Will this titan slink back in a year? His journey from power to disgrace is a stark mirror to an industry finally facing its demons. Now, shift gears to George C. Scott, the actor who stared down Hollywood and said, "No thanks." In 1970, he made history as the first to refuse an Oscar, winning Best Actor for Patton, but skipping the ceremony for a hockey game. He'd called it a meat parade years before, vowing never to play the game, and he didn't. Back in the 50s, he told off Lee Strasberg during Three Sisters rehearsals, proving he bowed to no one. His career was electric: Silent Menace and Anatomy of a Murder, a nominated turn in The Hustler, a wild ride opposite Stanley Kubrick in Dr. Strangelove, where Kubrick tricked him into an over-the-top take he despised. Off-screen, his life was a storm. Clashes with directors like John Huston, a fiery romance with Ava Gardner, and a temper fueled by alcohol that once saw him punch a mirror mid-Broadway show, gloving up to finish the night. But here's the kicker. George C. Scott's defiance wasn't just rebellion. It was his legacy. He sank his own cash into a Detroit theater revival that tanked, a love letter to the stage despite the loss. Today, long after his 1999 passing, his impact burns bright. Actors still study his raw intensity, his refusal to chase fame over craft. From a past of chaos and brilliance, he's now a symbol of standing tall, flaws and all. How does a man who rejected Hollywood's crown still wear its respect? That's the mystery keeping his name alive. Then there's Lee Marvin, the real-deal tough guy who didn't need to fake it. Before Hollywood, he was a Marine in World War II, surviving the brutal 1944 Saipan battle with a Purple Heart, and scars that never faded. That grit poured into his roles. His 1953 breakout in The Big Heat, tossing boiling coffee in Gloria Graham's face with zero remorse, rewrote screen violence, raw and unpolished. He won an Oscar for Cat Ballou in 1965, but his off-screen antics were just as wild. During The Professionals, Burt Lancaster dangled him over a cliff to sober him up. In 1976, he lost a 10-hour drinking duel with Oliver Reed. Yet, Marvin had a quiet protector's heart. William Hurt recalled him guarding younger actors on Gorky Park. His later years brought financial woes. A nasty 1979 palimony suit with Michelle Triola drained his cash, a dramatic shift from his peak. Marvin's journey from war hero to Hollywood icon ended in 1987, but his influence lingers. Think Dirty Harry, think Tarantino. Past triumphs clash with a present of quiet struggle. A man whose toughness hid a complex soul. What drove him to keep fighting? on screen and off. That's the hook that pulls us back to his story. Now, let's zoom in on Scott Rudin's financial empire, because this man didn't just make movies, he built a fortune. Estimated at $250 million, his lifestyle screamed excess. Cars. Picture a garage with a sleek Rolls-Royce Phantom, a vintage Bentley Continental, and a Ferrari 250 GTO, only 36 ever made. But he wasn't just splashing cash, he was stacking it. Investments in the Book of Mormon and Hello Dolly raked in millions, while stakes in streaming ventures and tech startups kept him ahead of the curve. His art collection, Warhol's Basquiat's, could fetch $50 million alone. Insurance? Rudin locked it down. Health plans for his high-stress life, asset protection for his properties, career policies to dodge lawsuits from his outbursts. He played chess with his wealth, diversifying across real estate, stocks, and entertainment. The lesson: build wide, protect tight. Rudin's fortune thrived on calculated moves, not just Hollywood checks. Want advice? Spread your bets, shield your gains, because even titans can tumble. Lee Marvin's ghost still haunts Hollywood, his raw edge unmatched. That Marine who survived Saipan's chaos in '44 carried a weight no Oscar could lift. His '60s peak. Cat Ballou's golden statuette. The Dirty Dozen's grit made him the guy who turned action films into something primal. But by the late '70s, trouble brewed. The 1979 Palimony case with Michelle Triola wasn't just a breakup, it was a public gut punch. She demanded half his fortune for their 6 years together. The media ate it up. Marvin won, paying just $104,000, but the legal fight drained him, and his net worth, once peaking at $10 million, dipped hard. He'd owned a Malibu beach house, a Cessna plane, and a Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, symbols of his tough guy swagger. Watches? A Rolex Submariner, battle-scarred like him. Yet his later years saw him sell off assets to cover debts. Investments in film projects fizzled, and health issues from wartime injuries racked up bills no insurance could fully tame, though he had solid health and asset plans from his prime. Marvin's fortune never recovered, sitting at $3 million by his 1987 passing. If alive today, analysts peg his wealth at $5 million, factoring inflation and residuals. His lesson? Diversify early. Marvin leaned too hard on acting gigs, not side ventures. Advice for us: save aggressively when you're up, because life's punches hit harder than any script. What haunts his legacy now? A rumored memoir locked away by family, hinting at wartime regrets. Will it ever surface? That's the hook tugging us back to his story. Val Kilmer's tale is a phoenix burning bright, then dimming, yet flickering again. The 90s crowned him with Top Gun, The Doors, and Batman Forever, his chiseled jaw and method madness making millions swoon. He lived large: a Beverly Hills mansion, a Ferrari Testarossa, a Patek Philippe Nautilus ticking on his wrist. But his intensity sparked clashes. On Batman Forever, he and Joel Schumacher nearly brawled. The Island of Dr. Moreau saw him feud with John Frankenheimer, who swore he'd never work with Kilmer again. By 2000, studios shunned him, and his $20 million net worth from the 90s peak started sliding. A New Mexico ranch, once his pride, was sold to settle debts after risky film investments tanked. Insurance? He had health coverage but skimped on career policies, leaving him exposed when roles dried up. Today, Kilmer's worth hovers at $10 million, with projections to $12 million by 2030 if his art and memoir sales grow. His 2020 health scare, a private struggle he later shared, shifted his focus. He poured himself into painting, his gallery quietly earning six figures. Financial tip: passion projects can save you, but balance them with steady bets. Kilmer's confession in a recent Q&A hit hard. He admitted his ego burned bridges. Now he's rebuilding with indie films and a documentary, Val. Can he reclaim his throne? That question keeps us glued. Steven Seagal's saga reads like a B-movie gone rogue. His 90s hits, Under Siege, Hard to Kill, built a $16 million fortune, fueling a life of excess. He rolled in a Rolls-Royce Corniche, a Hublot Big Bang on his wrist, and owned a 400-acre Arizona ranch plus a private citation jet. But whispers of shady ties dogged him. Warner Brothers debunked his CIA claims but found links to rough crowds, trouble that exploded in 2001 when partner Julius Nasso unleashed mob pressure over a $3 million dispute. Now at $8 million, Seagal's future looks shaky. Projections say $6 million by 2030, as his Russian ties, including Putin's 2016 citizenship gift, scare off Western deals. His lesson: trust matters more than toughness. Advice? Vet your partners. Seagal didn't and paid dearly. Recent news stunned fans. He's pitching a Moscow-based reality show. Will it redeem him or sink him further?